Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the FTD webinar titled, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like the Holiday Rush. With plenty of years and 13 years of marketing experience, we are excited to welcome today's featured presenter, Erin Green. As a quick housekeeping note, Erin will be taking questions at the end of the session. So if you have a question, simply type it in the chat box in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. All right, let's get started. Welcome, ladies.
Thanks. Like she said, I'm Erin Green. Jen actually got held up at the airport, so she may or may not pop on. I would also say check the chat box. There is a webinar workbook that you can download that has all sorts of awesome information that goes along with the webinar, guys. So go ahead and take a look at that. Here is what we are going to be talking about today. So 4 main topics. We're going to go over some overarching industry insights. And then after that, we're going to talk about how you can understand who your most valuable customer is. And then once we define who that is, we want to figure out how we reach that person, right? So we're going to talk about reaching your audience. And then after that, we want to figure out how do we activate on that, right? Like what is sort of our checklist for the holiday season. So we'll try to be sort of fast and efficient with our time, and we'll get right into it with the industry insights piece. So we did a study, and as you can see on the screen, we asked a lot of people about a lot of things, and I know that those were some, there are a lot of stats that are on here, okay? We went ahead and tried to highlight some of the most important things. And I always think about as we go through a presentation, what is the headline that you want to take away from a given slide? And so what this is telling us is how are consumers researching the products and services that they're going to be buying this holiday season, right? And the first thing you want to keep in mind is they're going to go to Google, right? They're going to use internet searches. Google knows things about us before we tell anybody else, right? It's the first place that people go. The other big one that I want to call out to you is social media, right? So I've only been on the webinar for 2 minutes, and it is likely that some of you have already checked your Facebook, and I'm not even mad because that's how we operate now in today's world. So what I want you to think about, right, is that people are going to a lot of different sources as they make their decisions, and you're going to be having to make some decisions about what sources you want to be found on. And so next up, I'm going to zoom in on just the social media piece. That's a place that we're all going to promote ourselves. And there are a bunch of different channels to keep in mind, right? And what the data on here is showing you is it's showing that people are learning and discovering about new products and brands. They're also researching products and brands, and they're looking to find deals. So one of the big takeaways that you want to get from this is that shoppers that are over 40 are more likely to use social media sites to find information about products and brands. And it's the standard list of characters that you want to keep in mind. Facebook is, of course, at the top of that. YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter. So take a look at that and sort of just ahead of time do an inventory of thinking about what platforms you're on, or if you're not on some of these platforms, what platforms might you want to be on, because that's where the consumers are and are making decisions and figuring things out. The other thing that we wanted to take a look at, right, is how much of people's shopping was going to be completed during certain periods of time, right? So buying flowers fits within the overall shopping experience that people are going to have this holiday season. And one of the things that we heard is that 46% of people are going to have completed all of their shopping before Cyber Monday. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons for that, right? We all know that there is a global logistics challenge in terms of getting all of the supplies that we need to be able to fill all of our orders. That's happening for all of the vendors, and that the consumers sort of know that ahead of time. So people are planning on buying stuff early. But you can see the percentages of where people are interested in making those decisions. But a huge chunk of people before Cyber Monday, there's a chunk of people that are doing it before Thanksgiving, and then there's going to be last minute shoppers. The thing that you want to take away from this, right, is that you want to figure out how you have a presence through all of those different factors. But your big takeaway from this is that you want to start early. And then again, we want to lean into, you're going to start early, and you want to know what the most important channels are. It's going to be 3, right? So 1, we know that 88% of shoppers are going to browse retailer websites for holiday gifts this year. We know that 61% of shoppers are going to search online before they make that purchase. And 51% of people are going to look at discounts for holiday gifts via email ads. So We always have, if you have questions afterwards, we can go really deep on industry research. We did detailed studies and there's lots more to go with that, but we didn't want to get completely lost in the weeds on just the industry research. Because the next thing we want to talk about is understanding who your best customer is. And a lot of times whenever we talk to florists and we say, hey, who is your best customer? If people say, well, anybody who wants to buy flowers, right, is our best customer. But we want to zoom in on a couple of different kinds of customers that we think that you should consider this holiday season that you really want to activate on. And so the first is holiday gift givers, right? And so these might even be the last minute gift givers. And it's like, oh man, Christmas is only a few days away. I need to come up with something. What am I going to give? Flowers could be a great option for that person. Or the converse of that, it could be that there's somebody who's really a planner, right? And so Black Friday is around the corner and they want to start scheduling out when all of those deliveries are going to happen. One of the trends that we're seeing is remote giving, right? So in 2020, everybody kind of hunkered down and they didn't know what they were going to do for the holiday season. 2020 was wild. 2021 has been, well, how do we make the chaos of this year more cozy? Some people are going to be celebrating in person, some people aren't, and the remote giving trend is become a thing that we need to pay attention to, and it's something that we can capitalize on. The next one are office workers, right? What we like about office workers is that they have to buy a lot of different gifts for people. And flowers are always appropriate, but also the other products that you're carrying, right? In terms of like candy or bears or all of those things are also great gifts that work for everybody. So bosses need to give gifts to their teams, and there's multiple layers of that go down. And then also all of the business partners need to go through as well. And then the third group that we want to lean into are decorators, right? So there are some people that they want to put up I have a friend that wants to put up her Christmas tree in September, but there are people that like to decorate their house completely. These are great people to capitalize on because they're going to buy more than one thing. They're going to buy lots of different products, and that's fantastic, right? We want to look at all of these different people. And then one of the things that we start thinking about is who is your golden goose person? And so sometimes for that, what we do is we make a persona. And I'm naming this person Cheryl. So if there's anybody on the call named Cheryl, hello, and we built a persona around you. Cheryl is the golden goose because she does all of the things. And what I want to walk you through is not just how she ends up buying those products, but I want you to think about Cheryl's day-to-day and how she might engage with you, right? How she might come across your particular brand and then ultimately end up buying from you. So Cheryl works in a dental surgical office. And that means that she needs to give gifts to all of the other doctors and dentists that refer to her. But if you think about her day, like Cheryl's busy, right? This isn't the only, having to make the decision about flowers is not the only thing that she's doing. So she wakes up, she's in line, dropping her kids off at school, she gets to the office, and then maybe she does a web search, right? And she's like, okay, cool ideas of things to give, other companies, right? Or maybe she's looking for local flower shops. But when she does that, I want you to know that the internet reacts. And then whenever she's on Facebook later, immediately she's going to start getting ads from the entire universe of people that wants to compete for those gifts. And she's going to be rotating back and forth between her day-to-day activities and the things that she is researching all the way through. So, and then once she gets in market, right, maybe she makes those referral gifts, it's going to cue her to be able to do all of those other purchasing behaviors that you want her to do. So that's giving gifts to friends, that's decorating for the holidays. Also, some people make decisions immediately, and then some people have to incubate, right? Some people, they might get distracted and not make that decision immediately. But what you want to think about is, what are all of the different places that she's going to engage? The times that she's on her mobile device, the time that she's on her computer, when she's on Facebook, when she's doing internet searches, and how can you be there and thinking about all of your competitors that is there too. So as you are defining your audience, here are the things that you can think about, right? And you just jot this down. You don't have to take a ton of time in order to accomplish this, but figure out who are your current customers, right? And then who are your best current customers? And then you think about what are their age, what are their goals, where do they live? And then, you sort of like want to come up with where is your service area that relates to that? And how much would you like your customer to spend? And then how much are your customers currently spending? So we want to keep all of those things in mind. So your goal is to figure out who your Cheryl is and then how you're going to communicate to that. And so next up, we're going to talk about reaching our ideal audience. And I'm going to turn over to Jen. Jen, why don't you do a sound check for us and make sure that we can all hear you?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I was just getting off an airplane, but here I am ready to jump on in and have some fun with you guys. So thank you, Erin. Well, the first thing that we want to understand about this slide right here is that not everyone is your ideal customer. So you want to stop marketing to every single person that you kind of meet, see, talk to, or just kind of throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks, right? The way that you're going to be able to do this is by really defining your goals. And the next step is by creating and determining that audience and their needs. So the way that we want to do that is by using website analytics to determine who your audience is and really allowing that data to dictate your moves. You want to compare yourself to your competition as well. What do you offer that others aren't offering, right? What can you do to set yourself apart from the competition? Are you offering free shipping? Are you doing a discount for people who purchase more than one floral arrangement or gift? Get creative. You want to do some really cool developing of content, right? And then you want to create that content once you kind of determine what that audience goal, what your audience is and where your goals are. So you want to determine what your needs are, then discover where your audience lives. And you want to do things like identifying new leads and prospects who are similar to your best customers. Reaching out to new audiences and new demographics is really going to help grow your business and develop that content even further. So as you can see on the next slide here, your website is at the center of everything that you do. So just like how Erin was talking about Cheryl, in order to find that Cheryl, that golden goose, right? We want to make sure that they're able to find us online in all of the right places. And it really starts with your website. You know, it's the center of your business. It holds the keys to the kingdom and is the center of everything that you do. And so when determining what your needs need to be done for your site, right, in order to really get that golden goose or to get the Cheryls of this world, we talked about, asking yourself a couple questions. Are your photos up to date? Does anything stand out to you that needs to be changed? Have you listed your latest promotions on your site and updated them to match what you're currently selling? Or are they still missing off of your site, right? So everything that you're putting out there into the universe, whether it be on Facebook, on Google, on Snapchat, your email marketing, your affiliated marketing, all needs to lead back into what we like to call your golden goose, right? Which is that website.
Yep. And then the other thing that we always want to pause on for this, right, is that I think sometimes when we see this, right, Jen, like it gets really overwhelming, right? So, and this isn't even every channel that you could be playing in. And what I always think is like, I'm busy. I have to run a business, right? I can't be on every single channel. I can't be on Facebook, Google, YouTube, Snapchat, send emails, also on LinkedIn, and post on Instagram, and be active on Twitter, and travel the website. So you have to make some decisions, right? And so, Jen, if you were having to zoom in on maybe just a couple of these, right, and you were going to focus for the holiday season, what channels immediately come to mind for you?
The channels that would immediately come to mind are definitely social media. Like I know you talked about earlier, you talked about that, big elephant in the room, which is that of Facebook, right? It is everything. The next thing I would definitely focus on is your search marketing as well. And for sure, email marketing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Samantha, you put in the chat that, yeah, absolutely. Samantha, you put in the chat, when will the workbook link be sent? It should already be in there, but if you would go ahead and drop it in again for the webinar administrators, that'd be sweet, just so that it's at the forefront. So after you've picked the channels that you're going to use, right? So say you pick Facebook, say you pick search, right? Then you can start thinking about the content that you're going to develop for that. And so there's a lot of different places that you can develop that content. So that might be messaging apps. It might be visual content. That could be the photos that you're taking. It could be that you're doing interactive content, right? So those would be like polls, Q&As. Maybe you're going to do webinars, right? Like that's really going for it. You might find a way to do user-generated content, right? Like how can you encourage people whenever you deliver flowers to generate their own content based on those really positive experiences that they're having? Or maybe you think about how you're going to start taking video of that. And we have some ideas for that here that we're going to share in just a second. But I'm going to show you a small thing. So how do you get people to record the positive experiences that they have when they get something delivered to them. Like, this is really cool because you can see Xander there, like that their face is completely lit up, right? Because they got something sent to them. And one of the places that you can do that is just asking people to do it on the cards that are being sent to them. So instead of just having the thank you card, you could tell somebody to say, hey, be sure and share this memory with your friends. Tag us in the picture on social media. And that's one way that you can create user-generated content, is to let people know to take pictures and to be able to post that. So I'm going to jump forward and we're going to talk about how to activate. And Jen's going to give you some ideas on different sort of content that you could develop.
Yeah, so thanks, Erin. So we know right now that one of the big in developing your content, right, is to actually plan your content. And we know that you're busy. We get it. Trust me. We're busy. You're busy. Everybody's busy. Being a business owner is difficult. I definitely can relate and understand for sure. And so one of the things that will really help you kind of leverage everything that's going on is by having a content calendar. And you can actually utilize this content by creating lots of different variations and utilize this content calendar to really set yourself apart. Right now, we know that 57% of retailers haven't even started planning their marketing yet this year. So this is the opportunity for all of you on the call today to jump ahead and get ahead of that and really start to dive into what's about to happen, which is our holiday rush season, right? So you want to create a content calendar to continue with your marketing mix, and this will help keep you organized and set you up for success. Some things that we kind of talked about that would be really great thought starters for you guys as far as content is you could take pictures of your floral arrangements that you're making, take some videos of how you create those floral arrangements. Just like you saw in the last video, try and capturing those moments of joy through video. Another one that we thought could be really cool is capturing the delivery process of your delivery, because we know not every delivery is simple and smooth, but when you open that door, and like I just opened my door and I had a huge bouquet of flowers waiting for me at my doorstep when I got home from the airport just now. It sparked so much joy in me. I was like caught on these flowers for at least 5 minutes, how beautiful they were and how gorgeous. And I was so shocked and surprised. And it was such a lovely thing to receive. How cool would it be to capture that on video and then to then put that on your content calendar and share it out with the rest of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then I just want to zoom in on that because I think that the content creation piece is really intimidating for some people, right? And I want you to think what a lot of people think is like, okay, well, I'm running my business and then I have to like separately go off to the side, section off hours, and I'm going to create content. And what we want to communicate is like, how can you build into your day small snapshots to gather that content so that you have the raw materials? In the same way that making floral arrangements, once you have everything in front of you, it's a lot easier to do. But if you're having to run in the back and grab all the miscellaneous supplies, it's going to take you forever. So the first thing to zoom in on a recommendation is as you're building your floral arrangements, take pictures, especially the finished product when it gets done. If you're thinking, what do I post on Facebook? Or what do I post on these channels? What can my content possibly be? This is something that you're an expert in. It's something that's beautiful. It's something that's different than somebody's going to find online. And people want to see this content. So take an extra 30 seconds, get lined up and take the picture, right? And one of the mistakes that people make is they don't have good lighting necessarily. So if you're in the back and you just have like, UV lighting, you can buy those ring lights on Amazon. They're like $30, light everything up. You're gonna make all of your arrangements look gorgeous. And if you're able to take pictures with your phone, then you can just as easily shoot video, right? So get a tripod, put your phone up, hit the record button, and watch somebody make a floral arrangement. That's something that you do every day, but most people have never seen that process done before. And so getting to see that at speed and watch a floral arrangement come to life is going to be really, really cool for people. So think about how you can build the gathering of content into the process. And then having a content calendar and having a posting schedule is not nearly as intimidating when you have the raw materials in order to make that happen. So the last thing before we take questions that we want to talk about is just your activation checklist. So Jen is going to run through sort of the quick rundown of how you should activate for the holiday season.
Yeah, so I know that Erin has covered a ton of content as well as myself today. I kind of sprinkled in a little extra fluff in there. But I know she covered a lot of content. So we wanted to make sure that you had an activation checklist so you know really what the next steps are once you leave this call today. So the first thing that you really want to do is you want to make sure that people can find you online. If somebody's searching for floral arrangements, if they're searching for, gifts and goodies, we need them to be able to find your business. So you want to go to Google My Business and make sure that Google My Business is up to date. The next thing that you want to do, and I talked a little bit about before, is maintaining your website, making sure everything on your website is fresh, it's clean, it's easy to navigate, excuse me. There's a place for everything. You have a gallery of images and pictures that you guys have taken that people can see. And then also the ordering process is easy as well. Definitely making sure you're maintaining your social channels. I know that at least one person on here has checked their phone since we've been on. So social media is top of mind all of the time. So make sure you're maintaining your social channels for sure. See how you're showing up on your local listings. Google yourself, see where you show up, Google your business, type in things into the search bar that you think people would search for when they're searching for your business, and see if your company comes up and where you're ranking. And then definitely go in and really work through defining your budget, your goals, your audience, and your cadence for your content as well. And get creative, I think, is probably number one, right? Have a lot of fun, get creative. There's no right or wrong way to develop your content. People just want to see what you're doing. And I think keeping it really candid really helps a lot as well. Wouldn't you say, Erin?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I would say is, because you look at all of this and you're like, oh man, maintain my website. Gosh, that's hard, right? Like, where am I going to jump in to do that? The first thing is just to look at it with fresh eyes and identify if there are any obvious problems that you want to fix, right? So before you figure out like, how am I going to get a web developer to go in and do it, just like know if there is a problem in the first place. The other thing that we always talk about is that pretend to be Cheryl. So one of the things that I said earlier is that Cheryl's going to visit a website and the internet is going to react. And I think that it will be profound for you to experience that. So go online on your phone and search for flower shop near me and click on one of the ads or click on one of the organic listings, right? And what I want you to do then is wait like 2 full minutes, maybe 5 full minutes, and then go to Facebook and watch what happens to your feed. I did this as an example. I just wanted to play with something else. I wanted to pick an industry that wasn't anywhere related to something that I normally did it. And I did it for like this men's soap company. And we timed it, right? And it was a minute later and I got 14 ads for men's soap after visiting one website. The internet reacts. And then you want to look at and just make sure your stuff's up to date. The very first one is the Google My Business, right? And you probably think, oh, mine's up to date. But have you really checked? A lot of people haven't, and you'd be shocked at the number of times we go in and like we're doing the basic checklist of things. And the phone number will be wrong, or the shipping address will be wrong, or maybe the URL isn't just so, right? And you look at Google, but look at all the other search engines as well. So we hope that this gave you a taste and got you started thinking about it, right? We covered a lot of information. We covered industry trends. We covered talking about your target audience. We talked about a bunch of different pieces. What I hope this got you to do is to slow down and maybe you get a glass of wine, but you spend 30 minutes or an hour tonight and break out a piece of paper and think about what do you want to do this holiday season. In the same way that you're planning for the logistics and the supplies and your life getting devoured from the time, think about who are you trying to reach? What's the content that you want to produce? Where are you going to get that content? What channels do you want to be on? We hope that this sparks some ideas for you guys, and I'm going to turn it back over to the webinar host.
Fantastic. Thanks, ladies, for sharing a lot of great info. I love that checklist on the end too. I've dropped that workbook in there, the PDF, a couple of times in the chat. I will do it again in just a minute. And if you can't grab it, don't worry. I'll be sending out the post-event survey. I'll make sure to include it in there as well. It'll also be uploaded on ftdi.com. We'll definitely want to make sure everybody has a chance to get and take advantage of this awesome workbook that Jen and Erin created for us. So we are open for questions. If you have a question, reminder, just type it in the chat box and we'll be sure to get all your questions answered. We do have a question that was sent. What's the best day to post on social media?
And I'm going to take a shot at it, and then I'm going to see if Jen has a different answer.
Okay.
Right? So my answer is you should post every day on social media. And a lot of people don't like that answer because it's a lot of work to post on social media. Some people are looking for like the magic answer, because email, we know that like 10 o'clock on a Tuesday is the best time to send email. I think your social posting, it's most important to be consistent. Like pick a day and go for it. But I would say as frequently as possible is my answer. Jen, what do you think?
Erin, I think we're in agreement on this one. I would say also as frequently as possible. You do want to develop a cadence, and there are things that can allow you to do that. I know for myself, because I have a small business outside of working with FTD, right? And I do art. So it's difficult for me to manage doing that and other things, but I want to be posting all the time. So I use an auto poster for most of my social media posts, and I'm able to schedule them throughout the day if I need multiple posts, if I just want it on one day. It really helps me to be able to maintain that consistency, which I think is honestly the key here. It's not about when you're posting, what you're posting, but it's the consistency behind it for sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that like I do testing both on like my professional accounts and my personal accounts, because I'm in marketing and I'm kind of a junkie that way. And I'll give you 2 examples. Like on my LinkedIn page, I've started doing sort of different testing on see what content people respond to. So sometimes I post video, sometimes I post meme format things, sometimes I just write sort of blocks of content. And then it's fun to see what people respond to and what people don't respond to. On my personal Facebook page, one of the things I've instituted, I call it Feel Good Friday. And I've created like a meme thread, right? Jen's laughing because we're friends on Facebook. And when I first did it, like the first Friday that I did it, maybe I got like 10 people participated. There were like a few memes or whatever, but like over time, it's become an institution. Like my friends save up their memes throughout the week, knowing that the Feel Good Friday thing is coming, and respond to that. And that's why Jen and I say that the consistency is important, right? Is that people are going to sort of get ahead of that, and they're going to learn to expect what you're doing. And the people that gravitated are going to be there. Samantha says, what is the best way to stay on top of posting? I am the only designer at the shop, and my boss doesn't try as hard for social media. If I don't post anything, he won't either. So I think what you're saying is, what's the best way to like stay on top? I think, Jen, your scheduling tool, and then maybe you can post the link to that tool in the chat, because
there's an app called plan.com that I like to use for one of my social medias. You can also use Hootsuite, which is a really great one as well. And what I tend to do, or what I recommend to other local business owners, or just whomever to keep consistent, is to take like an hour or 2 hours out of your week, right? And just take that time to start developing content, and then all of your posts that day, so that you don't have to worry about them for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month. You could schedule them out for a few months if you had enough content. So just creating that content, I think, would be number one. And then once you've created that content, getting it on a calendar and have it auto post for you, that will help you maintain it a lot easier for sure.
And Jen told me that because we were doing advice, and what I found is that like I wasn't sure what I wanted to post, and there was this catch-22, right? Especially for florists, that maybe you don't have the content ahead of time, right? We told you, hey, take a bunch of pictures of the stuff. Maybe it's not built up ahead of time. The other way that you can do it is that you can set aside time at the beginning of the morning, right? So if you took one picture yesterday of an arrangement that you did, and then you set aside right when you came into work, like you were going to just take 15 minutes and you were going to post on a couple of different platforms, and you were going to take a look at your marketing. Like, it's kind of like working out. You don't start with getting up and running a marathon. You start with putting on your shoes and walking around the block once. And so if this is overwhelming, that's your version of putting on your shoes and walking around the block once, is waking up, and whenever you get to work, make one post of some piece of content that you found or you developed yourself yesterday.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, I've got another question, ladies. What is a good benchmark for boosted posts on Facebook? I'm not sure it is worth it.
Oh, so maybe the benchmark, are you looking for, man, there's a bunch of different metrics that we look at. Sometimes it's what's the cost per click that you're getting, or what's the result that you're trying to get. I'm going to go with result, because ultimately it's probably sales that you want to get, right? The metric that I would look at is how many people are clicking through to your website. So if you're only getting a bunch of impressions and you're not actually getting people to click and to visit your site, then that's a problem. So I would say whenever we talked about looking at your analytics and knowing how many clicks you got and people that actually went to your website, that's going to be probably the most positive metric that you're going to get from most of your stuff. And then if people are going to your website, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Oh no, I was just going to say, and a boosted post is more for increasing engagement, like likes and comments and shares. A boosted post is utilized for that more frequently versus an ad, which is going to have like an exact goal that you want to reach as well. So if you're looking to reach targeted goals by boosting a post, you probably aren't going to see those results as much as you would like.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you for clarifying that. There is a difference between boosted posts and Facebook ads. And you'll notice that there's a cost difference between the two.
Yes.
You might do a boosted post and it's like, sometimes people will come back and they're like, I paid 10 cents for a boosted post, but whenever I run a Facebook ad, it costs me $1 a click. Why is it different? Well, it's the difference in the audience, right? Like, is Facebook targeting somebody who is likely to convert to go to your site to make a purchase and there's a goal associated with that? Or is it more general engagement? You're paying more for that because it's a higher value user. Thank you for clarifying that, Jen.
Yeah.
Do you recommend adding your shop to Facebook and Instagram? Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Some people don't know that Facebook owns Instagram. And so if you were not aware of that, Facebook and Instagram are interrelated platforms. Even the advertising is done from the same backend. So yes, absolutely. And there's a lot of overlap between the way that content can work. And especially if you're taking pictures of flowers, Instagram is a great platform because it's so visual.
And what's cool about it is you can shop directly from your page. So if somebody's finding you on social media, it links not only directly to Facebook, but it'll link to your website. So it pulls in all of the products from your website automatically. And then it still allows your shop to reflect like what you actually have in stock. It connects them to one another. So it's really cool. It's definitely a great feature. If you're selling products, you definitely want to be doing that for sure.
And I think that it's easier to highlight your Instagram on like the cards that you're sending out, because you can have @local florist. Maybe that's like your Instagram handle, versus for Facebook, you have to put like a whole longer URL. So yeah, absolutely. You should be using
You
those.
can actually now do an for Facebook too, Erin.
Jen,
I know, I'm blowing minds today.
it's absolutely true.
So if you can, you want to try and make sure those handles match, because people will be able to find you easier. But you can actually change your @ symbol on your Facebook business page as well.
Cool. Well, I know that we ran 3 minutes over and we want to be super respectful of everybody's time. I think we're probably going to wrap things up, but we're hoping to do more of these for you guys. I hope that you were able to download the workbook, and we will follow up with some more information for you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for attending, everyone. And yes, the recording along with the workbook will be available on demand. The recording will be on the FTD Mercury Network Florist YouTube channel, and the workbook will be available on ftdi.com. For more education programming from FTD, visit ftdi.com to register for free upcoming webinars and design shows, as well as viewing past education programs on demand. And Jen and Erin will be back with us next month talking about budgeting. So thanks everyone for joining us today.
Guys.
Bye.